Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ranks of Divine Seekers. This is the first episode, and we will begin talking about MAdarij As-Salakin بين منازل إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين, the great masterpiece of Imam Shams al-Ulama Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, the great scholar, Mufassir, Muhaddith, the scholar of Quran and Hadith, and of inner sciences as well as outwardly sciences of 14th century. MAdarij As-Salakin, or Ranks of Divine Seekers, is a summation of 6 centuries of the accumulation of Islamic sciences focusing on inner matters, focusing on our relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why do we need to focus on our relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Look, each one of us has a God-shaped hole in our heart. We cannot be happy except with that when that hole is filled with the remembrance of God. أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. That is why God created us. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created jinn and men except for that they worship me. And worship, ibadah, is an affair not of just the body, but first and foremost of the heart. It is an affair of the lovers, between the lovers. It is ultimate worship. It is ultimate obedience and ultimate love. Without love, there is no worship. And the ulama of Islam, the scholars of inner sciences, that is the scholars of suluk, have studied for centuries and commented on all the little intimate details of this journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As soon as you say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, you become a traveler on this path. You become a salik. And your station in afterlife is only as good and only as advanced as you advance on that journey in this life. The scholars of suluk have divided that journey into 100 stations. Why have they done so? And why should you know about that? Well, think of it this way. You go to school. Suppose you want to be a mathematician. Suppose if somebody gave you the best book of mathematics ever written for college level in the elementary school. Would that be of help to you? No. Not only would it be nothing more than paperweight, but in fact, it would put you off. It would discourage you from ever learning mathematics. It is gibberish. In the same way, on our path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are things to be learned, there are experiences to be had, there is growth in which we must engage. And wisdom in learning and teaching is to learn first things first. And that is why we must understand on the path to Allah as a discipline that eases, that facilitates our journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. MAdarij As-Salakin, or Ranks of Divine Seekers, is written as a commentary on Surah Al-Fatiha. Al-Fatiha, that is the coolness of the eyes and delight of the heart of every believer. It's a surah that you have learned. In fact, perhaps the first surah you ever learned. First part of the Quran when you open it up. And the ulama have said that God revealed many books and He summarized the teachings of all of them in the Quran. And He summarized the teachings of the Quran in the 7 long chapters. And He summarized the teachings of all those in Surah Al-Fatiha, the opening chapter. And He summarized the teachings of Al-Fatiha in that middle verse that we all know. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. You alone, O God, we worship, and You alone we seek for help. It is a two-way street. The servant, the lover, offers his or her worship to God, and God in return offers His help, His compassion, His forgiveness, His guidance. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. MAdarij As-Salakin was written as a commentary on a great classic of Sufi literature written 3 centuries earlier by Abu Ismail Al-Harawi Al-Ansari, a great Sufi master, a muhaddith and a mufassir, a Hanbali scholar from present-day Afghanistan, Herat. Al-Harawi Al-Ansari was a well-loved, passionate teacher of tasawwuf, and his books in Persian and in Arabic have spread across the centuries and the regions. Many commentaries were written on his original work, Manazil As-Sairin, and MAdarij As-Salakin is only the most well-known and perhaps the lengthiest commentary on that great work. That work, Manazil As-Sairin, was used as a mnemonic device, as a set of short, terse, precise instructions that a Sufi initiate, an aspirant to the path of tasawwuf, could memorize and check his or her progress against. It was a short book in modern printing, less than 50 pages. Whereas the great book of Imam Ibn al-Qayyim is published in 6 long volumes. It's a very long, devoted, learned work of Ilm al-Suluk, the sciences of inner matters, and also include discussions of theology, that is Ilm al-Kalam or Usul al-Din, and fiqh, that is Islamic jurisprudence. The book MAdarij As-Salakin is a commentary on the servant's journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The author of the book had undertaken that journey, and on every page you can feel the experience, the passion, the love, as well as the erudition and learning of the great author. I'm going to read a poem the author Ibn al-Qayyim wrote about himself that will show something of his inner beauty. He says, بني أبي بكر كثير ذنوبه فليس على من نال من عرضه إثم بني أبي بكر جهول بنفسه جهول بأمر الله أنى له العلم بني أبي بكر غدا متصدرا يعلم علما وليس له علم بني أبي بكر غدا متمنيا وسال المعالي والذنوب له الهم. This is the little boy of Abu Bakr, whose sins are many. The one who decries him is not to be blamed. This is the little boy of Abu Bakr, ignorant of himself, ignorant too of the divine command. And how could it be otherwise? This is the little boy of Abu Bakr, who has taken the front seat for himself. He disseminates knowledge, having none himself. This is the little boy of Abu Bakr, who aspires to communion with the sublime, while sins are his preoccupation. This is a glimpse into the humility of that little boy of Abu Bakr, whose great books have guided the Ummah of Islam for centuries, whose guidance is sought by scholars of jurisprudence, theology, and ilm al-suluk, the inner sciences, until today, for centuries after his death. This is the little boy of Abu Bakr, Imam Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, with whom we're going to spend the next few episodes. Now we will take a short break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back. Ranks of divine seekers. MAdarij As-Salakin, the great masterpiece of Shamsul Ulama Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, is a commentary on the great work of Manazil As-Sairin by Abu Ismail Al-Harawi Al-Ansari. The ulama of suluk, the scholars of inner sciences, have divided the journey to God into various stages in order for us to understand, to grasp its significance, the difficulties, the requirements, and the fruits of each of these different experiences. Abu Ismail Al-Harawi Al-Ansari wrote his book Manazil As-Sairin, divided into 100 stations. Each station can be thought of as a little garden, a stop on a long journey to Allah, in which the aspirant, the seeker, stops to review his possessions, to review his progress, to refuel, to regenerate, to rejuvenate, and to then continue on. Originally, Manazil As-Sairin is divided into 100 stations, but in an opening reflection, Abu Ismail Al-Harawi Al-Ansari says there are 1,000 stations to God. However, people of our time cannot bear those 1,000 stations. So he summarizes and simplifies them into 100. Given the limitations of our time, we are going to abbreviate the journey further and make it simpler for you in 10 stations. But before we start on those 10 stations, I want to reflect on the foundations of that journey. Imam Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah wrote Madarij As-Salakin as a summation of six centuries of spiritual scholarship, in which he summed up sciences of hadith, fiqh, theology, in service of ilm al-suluk. Let me say a few words about this ilm al-suluk, the inner sciences. People have given it different names over the different centuries. The name tasawwuf is just one of the many names. In fact, it was the tradition of people of Baghdad in 3rd and 4th centuries that was called tasawwuf. People in the east, in Khurasan, had their tradition. They called it malamatiya. That means blaming yourself with respect to God. People before them called their tradition al-Qurra, al-Nusak, al-Ubbad. Imam al-Ghazali called this tradition ilm al-mu'amala, the science of dealings, dealing with people and dealing with God. There are different names, but they all come back to that one cardinal essence of Islam, ibadah, worship, that is summed up in this important tradition of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam called the Hadith of Jibreel. The Archangel Gabriel once came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and asked him a few cardinal questions. And when he left, the Prophet turned to his companions and said, "This was the Archangel Gabriel, Jibreel, who came to teach you your religion." In other words, these questions are the cardinal questions of Islam. If you want to know what Islam is, it is in the answer to these four questions. The first one was, what is Islam? The second one, what is Iman? The third one, what is Ihsan? The fourth one, when is the hour? And fifth, what are the signs of the hour? Islam, the beloved Prophet answered, is submission through those 5 pillars that we are aware of. Iman is those 6 articles of faith, believing. Ihsan, however, is the most difficult to define, and only Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam could do it so perfectly. He said, Ihsan, or charity and benevolence in religion, is أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. That you worship God as if you see Him, for even though you do not see Him, He sees you. But to live your life, to worship God as if you are with God, looking at God, responding with love, humility, submission, fear and hope, that is appropriate to the Creator of all the worlds. Imagine yourself driving on a highway. Suppose you read the speed limit, 55 miles an hour. If you are a young man, that you take only as a suggestion. You speed as you like. But suppose there is a sign that says this is a radar enforced area. Now you're a little more careful. Perhaps you will get a ticket. You will get your license taken away if you're too unruly. But now suppose there is a police car. You see the police car. It's very unlikely that you're going to speed. Now suppose this police car is driving right next to you. Now you become the best, most diligent citizen. You drive exactly at 55. You don't want to mess with that. Well, think of Ihsan that way. Ihsan is to drive as if God is your co-pilot. He's driving right next to you. That changes the way you look at your worship. That changes the way you practice. That changes the way you engage in believing. It becomes something that now governs your life, that elicits your reactions, not through some distant teachings of rules, listed things of do's and don'ts that you learned back in the school. No, now it is you and God. It is you who are responding to an inner desire to know, please, and be with your Creator. That is the science of Ihsan. That is the ultimate goal of a believer. Think of it another way. If Islam in this hadith is about submission of your outwardly body, doing things. Iman is the submission of your mind, believing and knowing things. Then Ihsan is the submission of your heart, loving things. What is it that you must love? Doing, knowing, and loving. Now the whole of your life comes together. One of my great teachers used to say, There was a time when the computers just recently came out, and you would work on word processors. Sometimes you would spend hours and even days working on a document, a story you're writing, a document, a paper. And then there would be an electric surge, and all of a sudden, that one surge, the computer reboots, and everything that you have done is gone. Because you forgot to press that save button before the surge came. My teacher said, love is that save button. All your works, all your good deeds, all your commitments, all your hard work for religion, all of these come together and are saved in the hard drive of your heart when you attain love. When you begin to love it, that is when it becomes easy to overcome the surges and reboots of this life. You are going to be tested. You're going to be down. That which it is in your heart and has turned into love of God and His Messenger and of the beautiful truth they teach, that will stay with you. That's the end of our discussion today. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.